All right, well, the work continues on the K24 swap. I am finalizing the wiring. It's coming along quite nicely. I am going to have to kind of play with the sleeving and actually pull these strands separate so I can re-sleeve it up to this point, because as you can see, we got a bit of a gap there. Let me see if I can get some light. There we go. A little bit of gap, so we'll have to sort that out, but we'll just basically separate these all the way back to where the bulkheads are going to go on, make it a little bit easier. Doing this allowed me to reroute the map sensor wire on this side of the throttle body, which on K series, on K swaps, they wouldn't run it this way because this is the front of the car. I don't want it coming back around here, so I think that worked out great. I added, this is the extra wiring that was added to the harness when it was made, and these are for my pressure sensors. Yes, I did this all by myself. Garth is going to be so proud of me. But this one's for the fuel pressure. The other one runs around, and that one's for the oil pressure. That is the finalized mount. As you can see, that one's done. The finalized one for this mount should be here soon, but this might actually go through a change. I'm actually thinking about doing a mid plate, which would lower the cost of the K-swap mounts and make it easier for people who don't modify the cradle to tie it into each side. So that's something we're going to work on. But all the wiring is looking great. It's about ready to go. And we'll get this back in there. But as you can see, the garage is disaster area, because tomorrow there's going to be an 86 GT here in this bay. We're going to tear it apart and cut it in half, and then that's going to be my new mock-up bay for all the K-swap stuff, so I'll be able to get this stuff done a lot faster, doing different combinations, so I don't have to worry about scratching up all my nice fresh powder coat and whatnot. But we'll show you that tomorrow. All right, everybody, and welcome to BVMotorSports Chop Shop. Today we have an 86 GT. That's right, I finally went and picked it up. Now, some of you are going to be a little butthurt that I'm going to cut a rust-free Fiero in half. Literally, I just want this engine bay. Now, I tried for months, and I mean tried, to locate a Fiero that was crashed in the front, but all this was still straight back here, or that was kind of rusty but not horrible, and I had no luck. You know, prices on Fieros are getting ridiculous. The days of the $300–400 Fiero are long gone. I paid $800 for this piece of shit. It used to be a coupe that was GT swapped, and it was done rather poorly, and I mean everything was broken. Like, we all know Fieros, the front transmission mount almost always breaks, right? The rear one was broken. And I'm not just talking about the rubber transmission mount. I'm talking about the brackets that come off of the transmission. The metal was sheared. Nuts, bolts, everything loose, missing, rusted, cobbled. And this is the first Fiero that I ever had a cradle bolt seize. So I did the old hole saw through it, got a pair of vice grips on there, and was able to back out the cradle bolt. Now I just took this out and sprayed it off. And obviously it flash froze because it's, you know, below 30 degrees. It's pretty bad. The only rust that I found so far is the battery tray. Everything under it looks good. When I look in through the inner fender, all that looks good. So it does hurt. I'm not going to lie. It does hurt me. Look at that. It does hurt me to cut this car. But I got to think of the greater good. I'll be able to rapidly develop K-swap parts. I'll be able to try different combinations, because like the early cars, the heater hoses are here, which actually will make connecting to the K-Series a lot easier, because the swivel neck or the water neck actually ends up right here on the K-Series. So that actually is going to make it easier. Now I would still delete this hose that runs all the way up and comes up right here. But on some K-Series, that might not be a bad thing, because then your hose could come around and go right here. It's actually right there on the engine block. So the earlier cars, it's not that hard. You don't have to cut the pipe way down there and add a barb fitting like I did on the Blur and on my 88. So there are some pluses. I'll save the throttle cable off of this. I'm going to try to strip as many usable parts and sell as much as I can off of this car. I know the Fiero store has been looking for Fiero brake calipers. I'm going to take all 4 of these and send them into the Fiero store, just like here, have some cores. I'm going to try to save as much of this car as I can. I mean, it's actually in, you know, some things are in really good shape. Others, not so much. I'm going to try to develop my new vented hood, where everybody else is cutting the hood and extending it down. I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to have some sheet metal that comes down, wraps under, and it stays in place, and then you shut your hood on it and get rid of the air dam effect that the stock one does and get rid of that front end lift. Hopefully, that's the plan. The fender's already spoken for. We're going to put that on Mike's car. We'll see if we can save this front bumper because Mike needs that as well. I'm going to keep the hood for a project. The trunk lid, I might keep and cut it and put, I've got an original Mustang hood scoop somewhere, and I might try doing that, but actually mine is getting painted right now along with my side scoops, my ducktail spoiler, or actually it's a lip spoiler, so spoiler, trunk, side scoops, oh, and front bumper. All that's getting painted on my car right now. It's actually probably done right now. So anyway, if you need anything, I'm not interested in, when I'm parting this out and like sending this stuff off in mail. You guys are more than welcome. Come, I'll meet you somewhere. You can pick up whatever you want. You can come haul off what's left of the car when I'm done. I don't particularly care. But it is what it is. It did come with some cool scoops. I think these might be Fiero store. They've got the mesh in them. And they're the weird ones that don't go all the way up the jam. So I'm not familiar with these. So I don't know what I'm going to do with those. I might sneak those on, get them painted, and put those on the blur, and then put the original Meacham side scoops that are on the blur that are probably worth about $1,000 or more because they're urethane. They match the same material as the bumpers on the Fiero. They were made by Meacham Pontiac as an accessory, and I've got the only set I've ever seen. Everything else you see is fiberglass. So, and I really don't want those to go with the blur. Brian doesn't care because they just look cool. I like them because of the history behind them. They actually came on that T-top turbo 84 IMSA Fiero that I bought from a guy for, I think, $500 once upon a time, which I'd love to find that car again. Sold to a guy named Jim in, I think, Williamsburg, Virginia. Love to get that car back. But anyway, I'm going to try to strip as much as we can. The interior is god awful on this car. Somebody spray painted black and silver. The shifter plate is actually pretty good. I might try to get that wrapped in like Alcantara, and Garth's going to 3D print a new shifter plate for Brian's car. The skeleton's actually in really good shape. Like I said, I'm going to try to save as much as I can. It came with an original GM quarter glass. Of course, I need a left one, and that one's a right one, but it is what it is. So I'm going to try to save what I can. It did come with a literal truck full of spare parts. Doors, doors, trunk lid, coupe bumpers, side skirts. It came with a lot of extra stuff, extra hood. So let me know what you guys need. Tomorrow I'm going to cut this bitch in half. This winch was the best idea I've ever had, bolting that to the floor. It literally winched it right up. Came with an engine. I might just sell that outright. I wouldn't trust it. As you can see, it's been set and open. But I might take the things off, like I know the alternator bracket goes for some money. I might take the stock manifolds off, port them, have them ceramic coated, and sell those. Same thing with the valve covers and the intakes. Might get those sandblasted and wrinkle powder coated, then sell those to somebody who needs it. So a lot of these parts will go on to help other people with their projects. So yes, it sucks. I'm going to cut it in half, but it's going to be fine. I've never done it before. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is go time. Today, we're going to pull the fuel tank out of the parts Fiero, maybe pull a few odds and ends. I'd rather keep everything in the interior forward together. That way it's still on the car. It's easy to find for now until I go to scrap this thing, because I want to try to get as many usable parts off this car as I can. Let me show you where we're at, because we're going to do some cutting today. All right, so I think I'll insert a picture here of what the car looked like when I brought it home. It is probably one of the nastiest, dirtiest cars I've ever had to work on. I think the person lived on a dirt road, and it was just caked. So this is pressure wash. This is post-pressure washing, all right? And it's still disgusting. And people always wonder why I always say Start with the lowest mileage, cleanest, unmolested car you can find, because it will pay for itself later. This is one of those cars as to why I have that philosophy. It's just lots of little odds and ends like this. This car would have required a full-on rebuild from front to back because it was just garbage. The roof's cracked from where they body swapped it. It's probably indicative as to how Fieros are nowadays. I mean, the interior, somebody painted silver and black. So while a lot of people might look at this and see, wow, that's a lot of fucking junk on that car, there's still a lot of good usable parts. Case in point, it came with a set of the fiberglass scoopy things that all Fiero people love, which also are broken and will require some work. All right, here is the cradle that I'm going to be using for my mock-up. It's the 84 to 87 style. This actually came out of Mike's 86 Fiero, and this was in better shape than the one that came out of the parts car. So, and it's cleaner, so we're going to use this one for mock-ups once I get the engine bay cut out. There's a lot of stuff in here. Now you can see I've got some wheels sitting here, and that's so when I make the beams and can set the engine bay on rollers and move it around, that's why I picked those up yesterday. So with that said, let's get this gas tank out and cut this car in half. I've always wanted to do that to a Fiero, and today is the day we gonna get that done. All right, so let me get to work. I'm not gonna film me pulling out a gas tank. I think I've had that in a previous episode. It's a lot easier now that the engine bay is all emptied out, but it's still going to be a filthy, nasty, dirty job because, like I said, this car lived on a dirt road. So once we get that out, I got to pull some stuff off of the firewall, mark where I'm going to cut it, and whip out the Sawzall. And I bought a whole bunch of extra blades just for that. So let me get this gas tank out, which you'll see in just a second. All right, we got the gas tank out. It's actually fairly straightforward. The hardest part usually is just getting to these. People put the hose clamps back in the wrong spot where you can't get to them. Look, this one was loose. That's the main feed. Look at that, loose. Like, people just want to die. That one's kinked. That's the vent. You see the kink in it? That's crazy. The shit people will be alright with. But main, that's filler neck. That's the overfill. Locking mechanism. This thing's probably about half full. I'll take this over to a radiator shop, have it flushed out on the inside. Hopefully it doesn't need coated, because if it does, you have to break up the plastic baffling. But so far it doesn't leak, so this is actually a good gas tank. It's worth some money. So we'll see this, get this checked out and put this up for sale. All right, it is time. It is time. We gonna cut this bitch in half. Hopefully nobody dies. Keep all our fingers and toes. No trips to the ER, because those are bad. But I've never done this before. I don't know the correct method to go about doing it, but I saw it in a cartoon once, so I think I can do it. Let's get to work. For all y'all that are butthurt about me cutting this 86 GT in half, it's what I got, it's what I need. I have Sawzall, so it is what it is. Otherwise, just skip ahead if you don't want to see the carnage, all right? Let's get to work. All right, graphic warning ahead. Fieros were harmed in the making of this video. So, I didn't do it. I came downstairs and my friend Mike had already cut it in half. Oh, Mike, I was gonna save this one.
Hey, tough luck, buddy. Find you another one.
They are dime a dozen. Okay, so we got it cut off. The back window kind of shattered, but then I did throw a hammer through it, so, you know, it was to be expected. All right, so we just got it all rough cut. Right now, we're gonna cut these B-pillars off, get it all nice and neat. We're gonna cut windows through here so we can see what we're doing when we work. But it's first Fiero I've ever cut in half, so let's get to sawing some more. What do you think, Mike?
I try not to think.
Okay, well, that's probably safe. All right, everybody, welcome back. It has been a little while since I did any video, and I'm sorry. I have been really busy, and when I get to work, I just kind of like lose myself in it. And as you all know, I'm really kind of self-conscious about the shop, and it's bad. This whole bay is completely used up with the Fiero that I cut in half. This thing has come along really nicely. I think I didn't finish up recording. I think the time lapse actually ended, but I welded on some casters, put a piece of sheet metal across here, or not sheet metal, but some angle iron across here and across there, and put my digital angle finder on it, 0, and I think the other one's like 0.3. And this is on a rough, you know, garage floor. The concrete's pretty uneven, so I think that's pretty damn close. It's got a lot of sharp edges and things I need to address, but it works. Some of my worst welds ever. This was fun, but I got it done. The Fiero is cut in half. Sorry, not sorry. You know, I looked for months to get one. It's got a lot of good parts. I just don't have any room. And while I was down in Virginia visiting Garth, I picked up another engine. And as you notice, this has the oil cooler on it. So this is a K20 Z3. This is out of a later Civic Si, like 07, I think this is what it was. This comes with the RBC intake and all that good stuff. Already has the EP3 idler pulley, and it's got the correct belt routing if anybody had a question about it. Looks like a brand new AC compressor on it. I think Brian needs that. But it was just the engine, no intake, no exhaust, no flywheel. I don't particularly care about anything that it's missing because I won't use it anyway, because I already have an RBC intake with the K10 throttle body. Now, what am I going to do with this? Well, one, it's a K20, so we can mock up mounts. I have a K20 empty K20 5-speed transmission somewhere laying around here, so I'll be able to mock up the K20 and the K20 5-speed and make the other mounts that we are missing. So what I plan on doing is doing K24 engine, bolt the K20 transmission to it, and then make the upper transmission mount that will bolt on the driver's side frame rail. Once I get that, then I can pull the K24 out, put the K20 in, and then it's just a matter of making a new mount right here that goes from, you know, the timing chain cover to here. And that way nothing moves and it stays all in the same place. They'll all be mounted at the same height, though the K20 is 25 millimeters shorter, which would make deck lid clearance a lot better for you coupe guys. So we'll see. I've got a lot to do. I got a lot more work to get on. I am thinking about doing a mid plate, which would be cool because it would come right across the transmission. That's something I'm going to do for like a race version of the mounts, or for people who really, really want to make sure that this K-Series isn't going to move. I like the idea of the mid plate because then we could remove this mount, which let me show you over here. With the mid plate, we would remove the mount right here by the starter, which would give you more room. And more importantly, it would get rid of the mount back here, which on an 88 is really close to the sway bar. All right, we got the wiring harness on. I've got tie downs on all the anchor points. Really important ground right there. Still got to tuck it all down and make it look nicer. IDC 1050X injectors all clipped in. RBC intake on. Starting to look good. Ow. Alright, we've got the MAC valve there for boost control. Throttle position sensor, all that's plugged in. I'm going to do a little bundling down there. Is that light not on? There we go. Alright, I'm going to do some bundling down here just to make sure that's all nice and neat. That's how I can't talk. Going to bundle all that so it's all nice and snug. Going to do a insulated addle clamp, or a lot of people call them P-clamps. Still got to tie down the stuff for the VSS, but she's looking good. Alright, so next thing, turbo, exhaust manifold. Then we can put the water to air intercooler piping on, and it'll be ready to go in the car. Alright, well, I was hoping to be a little bit further in this video, but drivetrain is in, buttoning up all the little odds and ends, all the power stuff's hooked up, hoses, coolant lines, vacuum lines, throttle cable, clutch. I think we're ready. I did a bunch of the wiring on the inside of the car just to do a test start. Here's where we're at and where I think we're gonna have a problem. I'm gonna have to talk to my guys that make my shifter cables, because on a normally aspirated Fiero with a K-swap, shifter cables are actually pretty easy. On a turbocharged K-series Fiero, well, there's a downpipe in the way. I don't know if you can see it. That's the shifter bracket right there. The cables come in from the firewall up there, down along the frame rail, which you can see, I don't know if you can see down there. Yeah, down there along the frame rail, and loop, and then go into the shifter bracket. This one, which I believe is the select cable, yeah, that's the smaller of two. That one's going to be easy. That'll clear no problem. The other one is literally almost in direct center line. It's a little over to the right, actually, of the downpipe. So I might have to heat wrap the downpipe and heat sleeve the shifter cable. It's gonna fucking suck. But everything else is in, ready. Axles, all I gotta do is fluids, check for leaks, and then do the cranking process like we did on the Blur. But this was a mad thrash to get it to this point. Oh, another one of the things I'm going to end up doing is the bulkheads clear just fine, but the 90-degree boots stick out pretty far, and they're actually up against the throttle body. I might take these bulkheads and move them down, I think it's like 6 inches, to where the ECU is, and then move the ECU up, and then that would avoid the throttle body and the intake altogether. I might do it, I might not. It clears, it fits. Getting those bulkheads on and off are not fun with the throttle body on, but it can be done because obviously I did it. But that's where we're at. So we're gonna start today? No. Is that a no? No, I'm tired. I'm done. And I got to figure out what I'm going to do with these shifter cables. But I'm going to go ahead and get this video edited and put it up for you guys. If you like what you see, consider subscribing. If you like what I'm doing in the K-swaps, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give me a thumbs down. But at least tell me why you didn't like it. And the next video, she will start. Bet on it. Thanks for watching.